Hey everyone, it's Doug Holt with Fitness Professional Online, and I have Dave with us. Dave, for those that don't know you, tell us a little about yourself.
I am based in and around Nashville, Tennessee, actually a little bit south of Nashville in the Cool Springs area is where my current gym currently is. I've been part of the fitness business in some capacity since 2003 as a kettlebell instructor, both with the RKC and currently with Strong First as a master instructor. My old gym downtown Nashville shut it down a couple years ago when we moved out to the country. Currently running a private studio in Cool Springs area, focused primarily around amazing 12-week physique transformation stuff, and have been spending for a year and a half or so, the majority of my own personal business has been directed toward performing strongman and motivational speaking. And that is kind of where I'm headed with everything that I'm doing, and hopefully we'll be able to impart some of that on the audience today and helping them look at how they think about things and figure out where they can tighten that up a little bit to move them in the direction they want to go a little bit faster.
Yeah, and so you call it, if I'm not mistaken, you call it not just motivational speaking, but it's like entertainment meets motivational speaking, right?
Yeah, because I have stuff like I do feats of strength. For example, a nail here. It is a 60 penny nail. It's you can hear that. I don't break my coffee cup, but it's a quarter inch thick by 6 inches long. And then this is just a little bit of leather that I wrap it up in to protect my hands. And I will use feats of strength, like taking a piece of steel, a nail or whatever, and bending it into whatever situation I want it to be in, to illustrate that whatever's going on in the world around you is a process. Now, it took some training and it took some specific application of things physical to be able to do that. But the point is, it all ends with the thought. And through the course of doing that kind of stuff, I do a bunch of different feats like that to illustrate these sorts of ideas. But probably 10 or 11 years ago, when I was first really going full-time into the fitness business, I started looking at the business side of the fitness business. And of course, I was attracted to stuff like Think and Grow Rich and As a Man Thinketh. And it was around the time that the movie The Secret came out. And so that kind of had an impact on how the mind controls everything, and the body is an instrument of the mind. And then a few years later, I wound up meeting my mentor, Dennis Rogers, in Feats of Strength, and he's telling me the same thing, that whatever limitations you have are primarily mental, and it's your body will shut down before your mind does. And so being able to harness that mental energy and to direct it into whatever you want to do. And I made the connection between the two things, between what I was getting from like Napoleon Hill and what I was getting from Rogers, and understanding that the body is the instrument of the mind, and the mind is directing everything that we want to do. So like Henry Ford said, if you can or if you think you can't, either way, you're right. Mm-hmm. And so when I do these things in shows now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you come to a show that you want to be a standing strongman or strongwoman, but let's say that maybe you come in and you want to quit your full-time job and open up your own business. You're free to fill in the blank with whatever reason or excuse that you have right now. My take on that is to help you figure out what's going on and preventing you from becoming who you really want to be. I wrote a book about it, if I may shamelessly plug it. It's called Superhuman You. And I approach from the standpoint of a performing strongman in it, about how the processes that a lot of athletes use with visualization and putting the goal fulfilled, how all of that applies to any goal that you may want to do. So the book's available on Lulu and Amazon. They can check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be picking up a copy myself. I absolutely love it. I've been if you've watched the show, anybody that's watched the show knows that mindset is my biggest thing that I focus on, especially around the business and, working with clients. I always say, I always say personal training and fitness is, 75% psychology, if not 90%.
Absolutely. And that's why I love doing a show like this, is because I know that the people who are listening to the show and watching the show get that. And the biggest problem most clients have is getting out of their own way, giving themselves permission to succeed in whatever fitness goals they have. Because if you get someone who has always identified themselves as being the fat guy or the fat girl, or someone who's always identified themselves as, well, I just don't move well, or I have a bad back, or if who they really think that they are in their mind, then if we don't help them change that image of themselves, no matter what we do, and they're going to be fantastic results and look like a cover model, they'll go back to where they came from.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
We have to refine self-image.
So what got you into this field?
And conversely to that, if we redefine that self-image, then whatever they decide they want to be, and this is true for business owners too, there's no stopping it once that self-image is changed, because you will naturally behave in a way that moves you in the direction of that self-image.
So you mentioned that you were in the fitness industry and you watched The Secret, you read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and then obviously you found this new mentor. When did you actually make that connection where you're saying, hey, look, I want to be a speaker and I want to go this route with my business?
I'd say probably 2013 or so is when it really started to click on me that I could do both of those things. And I wanted to perform. We were talking before we went live. I have a guitar right next to me. I've played in bands in college and stuff, and actually have we'll be playing around with some buddies this weekend. Always want to be on a stage performing in that capacity. And then music business being what it is and me being who I was, I got tired of a lot of the stuff years ago. But the urge to be in front of a group of people is still there. And that's why I do as many workshops and why I am as humble as I am for big people, because that desire to do that has always been there. But I realized a few years ago, after doing a lot of workshops in front of big crowds and working on and stuff, that the idea of performing, doing feats of strength, melded so perfectly with being able to help people figure out in their own mind and their own behavior how to improve their lives, that it was just a very logical, very natural evolution for me to put the two together and kind of codify it into something that was more well-defined and move in that direction and start throwing all my energy into it.
It's interesting to me because oftentimes I hear and we get messages at Fitness Professional Online with so many trainers that want to go into the motivational speaking or somehow influence other people in a greater way, but they don't know how. Obviously, you found your wheelhouse. What would you recommend to them?
The first thing that's most important is to take the sort of vague notion of I kind of want to get up on a stage and talk to people and help them, which is great. It's a great notion, but it's a lot like being stronger. Yeah. Without clearly defined parameters, then it doesn't really mean anything. And I want to go on vacation. Awesome. Where do you want to go? I don't know. I just want to go on vacation. Who do you want to talk to? I don't know. I just want to talk to people. I want to help people. How I want to help them? I don't know. It's useless. It's a great idea. And I commend anyone who thinks that and encourage you to do it. I mean, pursue it, but get clear about what you want. It's the difference between I want to lose some weight or I have a Christmas party with people that I haven't and I want to drop 20 pounds and wear a size whatever for that thing. It's the more clearly you define something, the more, paraphrasing Tony Blauer there. But if they want to do that kind of thing, first figure out exactly what that kind of thing is. And what that will probably lead to is a clarity of the message that you have, that you want to people. It will help you to clarify who the people are that are going to benefit the most from your message. And probably the best way to do that is figure out who you really, really want to communicate the message to. I have a friend who's a speaker who his entire thing is he wants to talk to high school and middle school kids, and primarily his message is about anti-bullying and self-confidence. And so he's narrowed that down. And so his take on it was starting, where are kids like that? Well, they're in schools, right? And that's the lowest hanging fruit for that. So he started his entire business based around just and speaking performances in schools and colleges, that kind of stuff. For myself, I am inclined more toward corporate marketing. Likewise, as that goes, I spend a lot of my time combing through the internet looking for events that I think would be a good fit for me.
Great. Are you booking your own events right now?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. You're a hustler.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm doing it all myself.
Good for you.
Of course, the idea of the long range vision. Yeah. The long range picture there is if we have it so that it's for me, but I'm not at that place today, but it's coming.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it, man. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that you hear, with The Secret or something like that, right? You have to have the visualization, but then you have to go do the work. It doesn't just happen. You don't wake up one morning and have everything you want.
Well, you might,
okay,
but
fair.
You can't bet on that.
Yes.
And the Secret was primarily about the law of attraction. And I think that everyone that I ever talked to said, well, I tried that, it's going to work. That law of attraction stuff doesn't work. And I'm like, you realize that by saying that, you're getting what you're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
If you expect it, it won't work. And then, of course, there's the fact that the word action is right there in attraction.
Absolutely. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. He says that all the time. He's like, yeah, visualize it, use the law of attraction, and then get your ass to work, basically, and make it happen. Because that's really what you want. Now, with that,
law of attraction towards you, action will take you towards it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I've definitely seen that play out in my life as well. Do you have any regular rituals or things that you do personally to get yourself set up for success?
Sure. Every morning, first I roll out of bed, I will, well, not the very first thing. I let the dogs out and let them back in, and I put some coffee on, doing that. I pour a cup of coffee, and then I spend about anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes in a relaxed state with my eyes closed, visualizing very clearly the big picture, and then also visualizing any actions or steps that need to be taken fairly immediately. So I've got the end goal, and I've got what am I going to do today that I'm contemplating. And I figure out what I'm going to do today based on the list that I made last night before I went to bed. I'll write down 5 or 6 things that I'll get done the next day that will move me toward the big picture. And when I'm done with my visualization and drinking my coffee, I either head off to the gym to work with people, or I head into my office, depending on which day of the week it is, to start working on my stuff, whatever happens to be on the list that day.
So we could safely say to anybody that thinks visualizations for wimps, we're just talking to a guy that just bends steel. That's not the case at all.
I have never met a strongman who was worth anything, who was a legit strongman, who wasn't a trickster, who didn't practice visualization in some fashion. Sometimes they don't necessarily put it that way, or they don't have it's more intuitive. They've just kind of figured out that they go into this place in their mind. But like some of the greatest of all time, Slim the Hammerman, Dennis Rogers, John Brookfield, these guys, Bud Jeffries, Chris Ryder, everybody and Adam Glass, definitely guys that I know that are very strong and very good at that sort of stuff. They have a picture in their mind's eye of what it looks like to do the thing that they want to do before they ever physically step up to do it.
Yeah, I can tell you from my professional career all across every industry I've worked in, every successful person I've ever met does visualization of some kind, whether it's beginning with the end in mind, actual meditating, spending time visualizing, and they do it probably more frequently than not. throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dedicate that mental space for success.
Absolutely.
That's great. So another aspect, that I'm curious about is what you're currently doing in your fitness business. You'd mentioned it a little bit offline when we were talking about it and about kind of your natural progression as coming through. Tell us a little bit about that.
In the business itself, primarily what I'm doing right now is the amazing 12-week physique transformation that was developed by Paul McElroy. I have a few people that I work with semi-privately, but the location of my gym is everything that they tell you not to do to attract customers. I'm kind of in a residential area in a building out back, and you have to know where the road is to drive around and park there, and there's no sign. It's very much a Fight Club kind of situation, and that's completely by design. I wanted it to be that way. The location that I used to have had a sign out front, and people would just stop in sometimes and want to talk to me about stuff, but I wanted to get away from all of that sort of stuff with the current incarnation that I have. I want it to be, for lack of a better word, exclusive, semi-private, and you have to know that you're looking for me in order to show up there.
Very cool. So it's almost like the speakeasy of gyms.
Yeah. It's Fight Club. It's definitely Fight Club.
Right on. So for the aspiring trainer, because we get this question a lot too, is like, hey, I want to do fitness. I'm involved in fitness, whether it be, powerlifting, strongman, CrossFit, whatever it may be. And I want to help people. Where should I start? Now, besides getting your book, which everybody should get, and I'm definitely picking up a copy because I like what you have to say. I think we're in the same vein. And we'll put a link in there too where they can grab that on Amazon.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. I like supporting good people. What advice would you give them if you had someone sit down with you for 2 minutes and are like, man, where do I start? What do I do?
The only real advice that I can give is based on my own experience. I've seen other people give advice, good advice, bad advice, whatever. But I can only tell you for sure something's worked if we go and look at what I've done and what worked for me. The first thing is figure out specifically what you want to do. We touched on that earlier. The next thing is find someone who's already doing the kind of thing that you want to do and pay them to teach you how to do what they're doing. And I emphasize, well, I don't have any money. I'm just starting to stop it. Just stop it. Just stop saying you don't have any money. That's why you don't have any money. It's because you say you don't have any money. Invest in what you want to grow. I'll say that again. Invest in what you want to grow. Find someone who's doing specifically what you want to do and figure out a way to compensate them for helping you. Most of the time, the people who are really seriously doing well about it will be glad to give you a ton of free advice. But they also know that for every bit of free advice that they give, the people who receive that advice don't ever put it to work because they don't have any skin in the game. They're not committed to it. Would you train someone for free? If you would, then you're not in business. You have a hobby that's probably going to wind up being expensive for you, and that's fine, but don't call it a business. And then with that vision and with that mentor, it doesn't have to be one specific person, but find someone who's good at what you want to do and figure out what they're doing and do that across a number of areas. Spend as much time as you can getting to be as good as you can at whatever it is that you do. When I first got involved in it, everything was centered around kettlebell training, and I fell in love with it. Spent the majority of my time in training figuring out what was going on and how what I was doing was actually working for me, and then being able to communicate that to other people. Wound up becoming a master instructor as a result of that. So at certifications, people come, hey, I want to be a master instructor. What do I need to do? I'm like, well, you need to pass this weekend first. And then after that, we can talk, but just focus on being awesome at what you do. Now, that's easy for most fitness people to focus on being really good at whatever fitness related stuff they do, because that's what they're passionate about. That's what they love. Also, spend some time, some money, and some effort in getting really good at running a business. I'll say that again. Spend time, money, and effort, energy at getting good at running a business. Understand marketing. It's not a dirty word. It's how you get paid. Understand a sales process. Also not a dirty word. Selling is not something you do to someone. Selling is something you do for someone. You are helping them give themselves permission to spend money on something that is going to make their life better. And you are the beneficiary of it. So get good at selling, get good at marketing, get good at operating the day-to-day stuff within your business. Get good at managing your own finances. Don't have a business account that is also your personal account. You'll be broke if you do. And then when tax time comes, you'll be in all sorts of trouble. You have your business account. You have your personal account. You pay you out of your business account. Business is business. Personal is personal. Keep them separate. It'll save you a lot of headaches. Fortunately, that's something that I didn't have to learn the hard way. I had someone explain that to me early on and told me some fairly terrible things that had happened as a result of not taking care of that. And they told me, look and see, as you get deeper into this, you'll see people who run their business as a personal account. And they're broke all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's not the best way to do things. So figure out what you want to do. Find people who can already do it and learn from them and manage everything that you do to the best of your ability. There's a weak link in your ability somewhere. If you're a great trainer and a good salesperson, you may be bad at marketing. You may be bad at managing your money. Get better at the things that you need to get better at. Figure out where the weakest link in your business chain is and dump a lot of time and energy into coaching and practice and getting better at that thing. Because if you can separate things, just say those 4 areas that I just mentioned, if you can make a 5 or 10, say a 5% improvement in each one of those areas, you've improved 20% overall. And it doesn't take much to improve 5% in any given area, especially if you're not very good at it. Let's say you get 5% better as a coach and you get 10% better as a marketer and you get 20% better at selling. And you don't change anything with managing your money. So right there, that's what, 5, 10, and 20, that's 35% better, right? And you still haven't addressed one of the 4. So every little bit counts.
I'll add a couple things to that if I can. One is if you're in the industry, whether you've been here new or you've been here for 5 years, rewind this and listen to that again. I couldn't agree. I could not agree more. I think for fitness professionals, they don't realize that business is like working out. It's not something you just do once and then it's fine. You do it every day and you get better every day, just like you exercise. And then also, I hear this excuse that you brought up all the time, and it's just an excuse of I don't have money. I don't have money you can do all kinds of things. You could go to Nashville and clean someone's house. You can help provide value to your mentor other than financial value. There's other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you really want to get creative, then you'll make it happen. But again, absolutely. Rewind this and listen to it again.
You hit on the most important word there, I think. I talk to people frequently, and also, if you're new to this, and I find out that you did this or that you're doing this, please pay attention to what I'm about to say right now. Do not say, well, the guy down the street's been open for 5 years and he's charging $100 a session. I'm only going to open and charge $50 a session because I'm just starting out. Do you realize how stupid that is? If you have a gas station and another gas station opens up across the street from it on the same corner, do they charge 50 cents less a gallon because they just opened up? No, they don't. And tell the truth. If you saw a gas station that said, hey, we have burritos for $3, and you saw and said, we have burritos for $1.50, you would probably not buy the $1.50 burrito because you're like, that's going to make me sick, So first of all, don't do that, and that gives direction to, and actually a bigger idea there. Don't focus on your competition. Don't think about your competition, and in a very real sense, don't even think of there being any competition. The fitness and weight loss business in the United States alone last time I checked, which was a few years ago, was doing about $100 billion a year. Now, to put that in perspective, if I held out my hand like this and Doug started putting a $100 bill into my hand at the rate of 1 per second, so 100, 200, 300, and so on, it would take 31 years to get to 100 billion, round the clock, nonstop. So there's enough out there. Supply is not limited. There are enough people who are willing to spend an exorbitant amount of money to sustain whatever lifestyle goal that you can imagine for yourself. So eliminate the idea of there being any competition from your mind. I know that a lot of people wind up in the fitness business because they are former athletes and they're driven to succeed and they have that competitive nature that's ingrained into them. Business, in my experience, doesn't work that way. The people who compete with each other are fighting over scraps. The people who really, really do well are the ones who create something new, or at least create a new expression of something. So just create the best experience for your clients that you can, and you won't have to worry about what the people down the street are doing. Actually make friends with the people down the street, because when the client comes in and they're like, well, I kind of like what you do, but it's outside of my price range and whatever, for whatever reason, it's not a quick say, that's awesome. I completely understand what we do is not for everybody. You should check out these 3 places that are friends of mine. I recommend them to you. Because when you do that, now are you helping someone by refusing to work with them, or by acknowledging that they don't want to work with you and you send them to some other place? Yes, of course you are. Are you helping multiple people? You're helping the client and you're helping the gym. And you're establishing yourself as a person who isn't concerned with anything other than helping people. And that leads into something that called the law of compensation. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yes.
From Emerson. You will be compensated according to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing you. We've already established their need is $100 billion a year going out into this thing that we're doing. Your ability to do it goes back to what I said. Get really, really good at doing your thing. And the difficulty in replacing you is dependent on how well you do it. If you're super, super good, you're very difficult to replace. No one's indispensable. But the better you get at what you do, the more difficult you are to replace, either in your current job working for someone else or in your client's eyes based on whatever results you get for them. I used to have people that they didn't want to work with anybody but me in my gym. They didn't want to work with any of my coaches that were working for me. And that was fine. They paid a little bit more. Then I had some other people that they just wanted to come in and get the result, and they didn't really care that much about working with me. In fact, some of them prefer to work with someone else. Typically, it was a male-female thing. They didn't want to work with me because I was a guy, and that's fine. I don't understand it, can't relate to it, but if that's where their thought process, then I accept it, and that's good for them because everyone still wound up benefiting. My coach wound up benefiting. I wound up benefiting. The client wound up benefiting. So create something awesome for yourself and for everyone else, and don't be concerned with competition at all.
Love it. Yeah, Peter Drucker said, if you boil all business down, he was one of the business masterminds of our time. It all comes down to marketing and innovation, right? So coming up with something new and providing value to the marketplace, and then letting them know you have it, right?
Well, and I'll simplify that even more. It all boils down to service. If you're not making as much money as you'd like to make, you're falling short in the service you provide somewhere, either to your client or to yourself.
Yeah. And don't be in a scarcity mindset, right? Work more in a synergistic mindset, and you become that, the catalyst for around you in the health and fitness industry, where everybody goes, from my industry, it was go see me and I'll point them in the right direction. No, actually you should go see Bill, or you should go see Frank, or whoever else. And then you're working like as a team, especially for the athletes watching this that are so used to that competitive, be competitive with yourself maybe, but then work in a team environment, and it's better for everybody to get out of that scarcity mode.
I'll even go so far as to say, don't compete with yourself. I've heard that many times. The only person I compete with is myself. Well, if you boil that down to its purest elements, someone has to lose that. Either you or you're going to lose that. that competition. So just focus on creating.
I've never thought about it that way. Interesting. I'll have to take that one. I like that.
Yeah.
No, great advice.
Thank you.
We're running out of time, and you've been so gracious with your time. And I'd love to have a follow-up call with you, because I think you have so many words of wisdom to impart. But in this meantime, if people want to find out more information, where do they go?
My website is irontamer.com. It is, again, geared toward the motivational speaking and strongman performance side of things. On social media, I've got my professional page is Iron Tamer Dave Whitley, and my YouTube and Instagram and Twitter are all Iron Tamer. So if you just go look for those, look for Iron Tamer on those various social media outlets, you will find me.
Awesome. And great videos and pictures on there, by the way, everyone. So you got to check them out. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely deserving. So I'll put a link for the book in there, and I'd love to have you on again. So thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Everyone have an awesome day.